At Donald Trump's rally last night, there was some truly disgusting rhetoric. And no, I don't mean this.
I love you, Peter. I love you too, Lisa. Lisa, I love you. Lisa. Oh God, I love you, Lisa. And if she doesn't win, Lisa, we've got an insurance policy, Lisa. We'll get that son of a bitch out.
Okay, so let's be really clear. That was him talking about Lisa Page and Peter Strzok, and that was him being a government official and pretending to have an orgasm.
Wow, I didn't see it that way.
That's not I'm not gonna do it because it was disgusting, but when he's breathlessly calling out the person's name.
I didn't see it that way. I didn't see it well. I didn't see it positively. I thought of it as a John, Marsha, oh John, Marsha.
Yeah, and what are they doing?
There's a lot sad about this rally, and
yes.
I
don't want to focus on
the
this.
President climax.
I don't either. And thankfully, we went hundreds of years without having to do that in this country.
No. George Washington wrote extensively about reaching orgasm.
I don't think that happened.
He had to take out his wooden teeth.
I knew you were gonna, there was no way you weren't gonna go to the teeth with that.
Yeah, why do you think they call it Mount Vernon?
Okay, this is on me because I played that clip, but I blame you too. Anyway, it gets disgusting in other ways, and that's when he goes into attacking Ilhan Omar, representative. So he goes to her home state to demonize her and the community that she comes from. I was going to play you the video of him attacking her, but I'm just not gonna do it.
That's a really good decision because it's so bad.
It's so bad and it's so filled with lies and conspiracy. He name checks a blogger, a conspiracy theorist blogger in the crowd who spread lies about Ilhan Omar and her marriage.
And that's the trick. It's identifying the trick, the move that he pulls, which is to distance it so far from the source material that now you're referencing false characterizations of the source material.
Yes.
So it's not too different from what we did show you, which was the Peter, at the beginning it was spending 6 months saying Peter Strzok, there's a text messages and CIA conspiracy or whatever. And he did that for so long that now Peter Strzok just means conspiracy, and people don't even remember how or why. And he did the same thing with Ilhan Omar, saying she said this thing about 9/11, a thing that happened, some people, some stuff, and everyone in that group is already whipped into such a frenzy that they're like, I know, I just want to believe it.
Well, actually, let's demonstrate that. So the video that I do want to show you is from when he's talking about her. It's not him talking. In fact, it's him not talking, but take a look at what the whole point of this is.
But when we say something about the United States.
So when I call it the 2-minute hate, that people go to these rallies to be part of a crowd that hates something, that's why he's like, yeah. Come on,
there was someone in the crowd.
Just bring me the booing, come on.
There was a person in the crowd at that point who then later in the video they cut to being escorted out. That was that moment.
Yeah, exactly, but they love it. That's what they want to see.
And the actual video of her getting pulled out, as she's literally going peace and love. That is what she said. She's saying peace and love over hate, is my read on reading her lips.
Which you cannot get away with that in that group full of good Christians.
So weird.
Yeah, so, and also by the way, so you mentioned the Strzok thing. I feel the need to keep saying this, that multi-year effort to make you hear Peter Strzok and know, oh, it was the deep state with a conspiracy to stop him from becoming president. That's why I said, we have a plan, we have a backup plan. They never have to respond to the follow-up question, so then why didn't they stop you? If they had this plan, why did they do nothing? Why did they in fact go out of their way to make sure that James Comey didn't even reveal that you were being investigated? They actually did to Hillary the things you're saying they were gonna do to you but then didn't do. Say something about that, they don't have to.
He doesn't have to, he has his catchphrases. And that's all anyone wants. When you try to build a cult of personality, whether it's as a politician or as a YouTuber, you just come up, and there's this thing called, primal branding?
Yes.
Where you just come up with like little catchphrases and little things. So whenever he's doing like a very pernicious version of like, hey, what up, breaders, like my, what up, breaders? Hey, my whole group
troop.
is the Brett Troop. What up, the Brett Troop?
Yeah.
And I
because
used
then
to say
people
like
in the audience would be like, well, I want to be in the Brett Troop.
Yeah, and that's it. And it just signals that you're all together because you all have your own little call and response, and it's everywhere. And you look at it, I mean, the word amen, standing and sitting during church, like some of these things are good because they build community and a shared experience, but others are just ways to insulate yourself from what's happening in the world and feel like it's okay because we're all like this at least.
Yeah, and you want to be in a group of people who have the same exact identity that you do, and that's what they have there. And so in this particular case, the thing that's bad about it is that he gets this huge crowd of people, 98% of whom are white, to start chanting about how much they hate this congresswoman who dares to be Black and Muslim. How dare she? And then also they go beyond that because it's not enough to hate her. They also have to hate the community. So he's very clear about what they should think about the Somali community.
For many years, leaders in Washington brought large numbers of refugees to your state from Somalia without considering the impact on schools and communities and taxpayers. I promise you that as president, I would give local communities a greater say in refugee policy and put in place enhanced vetting and responsible immigration controls. And I've done that. Since coming into office, I have reduced refugee resettlement by 85%.
That's anti-Semitic. Because he's like, I don't like taking in refugees in the wake of major disasters and international problems. So you're against Jewish refugees in the World War II.
Which we know people were.
And that's it. I mean, that's exactly the thought. And I don't know, just do you fight it with other rhetoric? Like we just go watch Black Hawk Down. That was in Somalia. Like,
he goes to a state known for its Somali formerly refugee community to get a big crowd of white people to chant about how they're horrible and they shouldn't be there. And we want to make sure that there's no more of them. That's what we definitely want, even though we know what this rhetoric produces. And I want to give you one example of what it produces. This was news previously. 3 right-wing militiamen from rural Kansas were found guilty on Wednesday in a 2016 plot to slaughter Muslim refugees living in an apartment complex in that state where they were having their rally. Jurors heard recording after recording of the men expressing a murderous hatred of Muslims who they called cockroaches. One of the men referred to himself online as the Orkin Man. And during the plotting, Stein, one of the militiamen who wanted to murder these Somali refugees, reportedly referred to then candidate Trump as the man. The men had planned their attack for after the 2016 election so as not to hurt Trump's chances of winning. Delaying the attack until then would avoid giving any ammunition to their political opponents, one of the terrorists said.
And Trump's victimizing these people. Like you've been had. And you need look no further than like the person who showed up with a gun at Pizzagate.
Yep.
And realize that is not what's happening. And you just need to remember like the ridiculous things Trump says and Giuliani says when they have not borne out in the slightest. The only evidence we have is that the frenzy he has whipped right-winger extremists into has yielded deaths, has yielded murders, has yielded plots like this. Those are the ones plotting against a boogeyman. When he says deep state, he might as well be saying like Bloody Mary, like that thing that you went into your bathroom and you're like, let's say it 3 times, nothing happens, but then we'll come out and say something did.
Yeah. Except this time it potentially has murderous consequences. Some of these plots are stopped, but others aren't. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.